When it comes to 21st century technology, there are long-lasting devices, there are venerable devices, and then there's the Google Nest Protect. We're coming up on about a decade since the first Google Nest Protect hit the market, and 7 years since it last had an update. Now, if we're talking about a phone or a tablet, something like that, 7 years is a very, very long time. But for something that is supposed to detect smoke and carbon monoxide, well, if it works, it works. And the Google Nest Protect does work. Now, that doesn't mean it's all sunshine and roses, but I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons of the Google Nest Protect today. So, let's dive in. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Now, let's get into the Google Nest Protect. Like I said up top, this is a smoke and CO2 detector. So yeah, pretty simple device, but it is a connected device. This is a smart smoke and CO2 detector, which means that, yeah, it hooks up to your Wi-Fi ecosystem and it can send you alerts on your phone, not just through the speaker on here. There's a battery-powered version and there's an AC version, basically a wired version. And which one will work best for you depends on your situation, whether you have a wired setup already that you just need to plug something into, or if you're trying to get a device into an area that isn't wired, in which case battery is going to work great for you. In my case, I started using it here in my studio where I didn't have any wiring set up for a smoke detector, so I went with the battery version. That was about 4 years ago, and those batteries have not yet needed to be replaced. Either way, as you can see, it's a pretty slick looking device. I do like the look of it. It's got this grill all around the outside. That's where the speaker system is. It's also got this ring here that lights up depending on the situation. It does have a night light, so it's got a motion sensor in there so that if you're walking around at night, it'll light up whatever area it's in, at least a little bit. It's not super bright, but it will help you from tripping over any, pets or cords or whatever. And that same ring light will turn yellow if it's detecting a possible problem, and then red if it is actually sounding an alarm. Now, in terms of what it detects, let's start with the smoke detector side of it, or we might call it the fire detector side of it, because they claim that it will detect both smoldering fires and flaming fires. I bet you didn't know there was a difference. But yeah, if you think about it, some fires start slow. Maybe it's a little spark in the wiring in your walls, something like that, and it smolders over time and it builds. It releases a lot of smoke, especially at first, so detecting that smoke is going to be really important right up front. In other cases, think of something like a grease fire. It's going to have a lot of flames right away, but not necessarily with the accompanying amounts of smoke that you would get from other types of fires. Well, with the second gen that came out, like I said, about 7 years ago, they say that it will detect both sides. Now, if you go online, you'll see some who dispute the flaming fire detection and say that it isn't quite as good as Google is saying it is. However, I can say that on the smoke side of things, it works great. I do have another one in my house, in the kitchen, and yeah, sometimes I burn things. And yeah, it'll tell me when I'm burning things. Thanks a lot. On the carbon monoxide side of things, that was an upgrade that we got with the second gen. With the first generation Google Nest Protect, that carbon monoxide sensor lasted for 7 years. With the update now with the second gen, they say it lasts for 10 years.
Testing carbon monoxide.
So hopefully in my case, I've got another 6 years left to go on this thing. But there are a lot of devices out there that will detect smoke and detect carbon monoxide. So why would you get this, a smart version of that? Well, that's part of the strength of a device like this, is that it is connected so that you will get alerts alongside the noisy alarm that it sounds. Ultimately, that's the reason I got a smart smoke detector for my studio. This is a separated outbuilding in my backyard. I'm not always back here, and so I wanted to be alerted on my phone if something happened. I'm not going to hear that alarm if I'm all the way in the house. And of course, alongside that, it has other features that go with a smart detector as well. For instance, this will test itself. It tests its own sensor constantly. It's always doing it. And it will test its sound system every so often without you ever asking it to do so. That doesn't mean you can't do manual tests. You can always press the button right in the middle and do a manual test to make sure that things are working okay.
Ready in the office. Press to test. This is only a test. The alarm will sound. It's going to be loud. The test starts in 5 seconds. Press to cancel. Testing smoke.
But it's always doing that testing in the background so that if something does come up, you get a little alert on your phone that says, hey, you might want to take a look at that detector. So whether it's problems with the sensors or low batteries or whatever, you're going to be notified of that, say, before the batteries run out, without an annoying chirping sound constantly going throughout the house. And of course, another pro of the Google Nest Protect is that it sets up very easily and integrates easily with the Google Nest ecosystem. So if you have a thermostat, if you've got the Wi-Fi system, whatever, adding this into it is extremely simple, extremely easy setup. Especially when it comes to the battery-powered version, installation is a breeze. There's a little ring mount that you put on your wall or your ceiling, and then this twists right into that. So, lots of pros, right? I mean, yeah, it's a great device. It's worked great for me for the last 4 years, but what are the cons? Because there's gotta be a con, right? Well, yeah, the con is, if you'll forgive the pun, holy smokes, is this thing pricey. It retails at $120. You might find it for a few dollars off here and there, and there are some home insurance companies that will give you a kickback if you buy this device, but regardless, this thing is expensive. That's about, say, 4 times the cost of a really nice, non-connected detector. And then if you get into these smart devices, it's still about 2 or 3 times the cost of many of its competitors. So, are you getting what you pay for with the Google Nest Protect? Well, that's going to be up to you and your budget. I will say that if I could go back and do it again, I might do a little bit more research before springing for a couple of these devices. It was a pretty hefty sum. However, that being said, now that I do have them, one in my home, one in my office, they're really nice. They're very hands-off. It's really easy to install, really easy to use. It's really easy to understand with the alarms that are coming through, with the lights that show up here, with the alerts that go on your phone. So, of the 2 questions that we have to answer here, first is, does it work? Is it a good detector? As far as I've been able to tell in my years of using it and abusing it in some cases, yeah, it works great. The other question that we have to answer though is it worth it? And that's really going to come down to your budget. I've got a couple of them. I'd like to get a third one, but frankly, I don't know if I can really afford that. So if you want to help me afford it, go ahead and like and subscribe. That'd be great. But otherwise, let me know what you think of this. Is this a device that you have used? And what do you think of it? Hit the comments and let me know. Or if it's something you're thinking about buying, ditto. Hit the comments, give us any questions you've got about how this device works. We'll do our best to answer them. Thanks for watching today, everybody. Like I said before, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if this video is helpful in some way. And we will see you on the next video.